Hey everybody, Cougar here, about ready to start a new story mode playthrough of The Long Dark. Now I've got about 200 hours in The Long Dark versus 300 in Subnautica and 20 in the Forest, so I should be able to do a bit more of a tutorial style playthrough as I did with Subnautica versus the stumbling around and not knowing what I was doing like we saw in the Forest. Going to, just fair warning, I'm going to skip the cinematics as we progress through the story for a couple of reasons. One, I don't want to spoil the story. Two, I just, in my opinion, the cinematics are not that great. They're not super well written and not that compelling overall, so we're not going to be missing out on much by skipping them, but if you want to watch them on your own, please do so. With that, let's get started. Alright everybody, welcome to The Long Dark. We have been in a terrible plane crash. We are waking up to find that we have a piece of jagged metal stuck through our hand. Now as I go about removing this, this is actually serving as a tutorial for how the wolf struggles occur later in the game. So let me explain what we're doing here. As we click on that, now we're going to left click repeatedly to remove the metal. But the goal here is not to just click as fast as you can. Click, 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 click. The goal is to find the proper pace at which to click to remove the metal. And this is the same way that wolf struggles are going to work. When you end up fighting a wolf, it's going to be the same way. You don't want to just click as fast as you can. You want to click at the right pace to advance the bar down there as much as it can advance before it starts to retreat again. Alright, we've got the metal out. Now it's just going to be about surviving. But this is the tutorial section here. This is going to be fairly static, and it's going to give us goals to accomplish every day. Our first goal is going to be to start a fire to warm up. So we want to be picking up birch bark to use as tinder and sticks, but not branches. Now we see this is a stick. We can pick that up off the ground. These branches we're going to need to break down, and that takes time and energy to do, neither of which we have in abundance right now. So for now, we're just going to keep looking around for loose sticks lying on the ground that we can pick up, and of course anything else lying on the ground, like this first aid kit, which yields a bandage, some antibiotics, and another bandage. First aid. Study your treatments and learn to triage. There are many ways to die in the wilderness. Medical treatments, man-made or harvested from the natural world, will save your life. Use the status screen to check on your health. Apply a treatment using the first aid radial menu. You can also use treatments from your pack menu. Controls, the key to survival. Preparation and self-control are vital to your survival. Check your controls menu if you're unsure of how to do something. This could save your life. Of course, that's good advice. No matter what game you're playing, check the controls. Newsprint roll we can use to start a fire. Cloth we can use to craft a bandage if we hadn't just found two. Newsprint, another stick, another stick, another stick, another piece of cloth, a fire log, that's some firewood, and another piece of firewood. And here's a cave. Fire. Fire provides heat, water, food, and protection. Use the campfire option in the radial menu. You'll need all the fixings, a fire starter, tinder, and fuel. Accelerant speeds up the process. Fuel types impact burn time and heat production. An active fire can be used to cook and boil water, as well as keeping you from freezing to death. Yes, that is our goal, to not freeze to death. So let's see what we can do about that by starting a fire. As the tutorial mentioned, you can start it using the radial menu, camp craft, and a fire, or there's also a hot button. 4 will allow you to place down a fire. I'm going to put it here at the entrance. Well, I'm having trouble finding a place that'll sit. Oh, come on. Seriously? There we go. No? There we go. Okay. So here's the start fire menu, or screen. A Up here you've got your base chance of starting a fire. This depends on your skill at fire starting. The more fires you start, the better you get at starting fires, and this base chance will increase. Here it gives you an estimation of how long the fire will burn based on the items that you are using over here on the left side, and here is your base chance, your chance of success with all things taken into consideration, including what type of matches you're using, what type of tinder you're using, and what type of fuel you are using, and whether or not you have any accelerant to use. You can scroll through different types of tinder or fuel here. For us, it's just sticks or firewood to get this started, but keep an eye on the chance of success in the upper right-hand corner as I switch from firewood to sticks. Okay, but this is the tutorial fire, so that's not going to make a difference. Out in the real world, that will actually make a difference. I didn't mean to pick that up. So, because this is the tutorial fire and this is the first fire you're starting, this will automatically start. I don't think there's any chance of us actually failing to start this fire, regardless of the stuff that we are using to start it. So yeah, if you've never played The Long Dark before, there are no zombies, no cannibals, no monsters to fight. It's just you versus Mother Nature. But it turns out Mother Nature is an unforgiving, demanding, high-maintenance biatch. Kind of like my ex-wife. So we've started a fire. That may have been the only thing we needed to do to advance to the next day. Let's just give the game a minute to realize that we have started this fire. We can check our journal to see if it has checked off. We have a bleeding wound. So the last thing we need to do to go to the next day is to find or make a bandage and use it to stop our blood loss. Let's do that. We have the bandages on us. I'm going to go to my backpack, change to the first aid tab, use one of these bandages and apply it to our plane crash injuries on our right hand. We have a wound. Alright, we have stopped the blood loss, probably. Let's check our status screen. We are still in pain from that, but that is just going to take time to heal. We have stopped the bleeding for now. So our journal has been updated. We are going to advance to day 2. Now, I have played through the first part of the story here a couple of times. Unfortunately, I encountered a story-breaking bug both times and was not able to progress past a certain point. Status is your early warning system. When you bring up the quick stats or the radial menu, you'll get a preview of your current condition, as well as information about how cold, tired, hungry, and thirsty you are. Anytime one of these status indicators is empty and red, this means you are losing condition. Lose all your condition and you will die. So let me just pull up the status displays here. So what the game is telling you is that, look down at the bottom, in the middle of the bottom of the screen, you have our temperature, our tiredness, our thirst, and our hunger. Now, we can be thirsty and hungry. We can be dehydrated. We can be starving. What really matters in terms of progressing through the game is our condition, which is in the lower left-hand corner here with our status icons pulled up. So as long as your overall condition doesn't get too low, you can be hungry, you can be tired, you can be freezing, you can be starving. Once your condition gets low enough, you'll start to lose control over your body, and it'll just make it very hard to do anything, and all you can do at that point is to hope to get to a place where you can rest and get better. All right, day 2 survival. Our goals today are to produce some water and drink it to stay hydrated, and to find and eat some food to keep up your strength. So let's try and do that. Is our fire still lit? No, our fire has gone out. So let's just venture out here. The wind has died down. The sun is out. We are in better shape to do a little poking around out here. There's another stick. We're not going to be able to sprint for a while since we're still injured. We're just going to have to walk everywhere for now. But let's get, there's some more newsprint, cloth that we can use to repair our clothing or make bandages. Here's an MRE. We're going to eat that. Here's some more matches. Let's break down this crate. You can find stuff in these crates or underneath them. Plus, you get 2 pieces of reclaimed wood. We found some water purification tablets and some more wooden matches. Plastic container with disinfectant in it. That's great. More matches. Terrific. A book that we can use to start a fire. Newsprint that will help us start a fire. Let's break down this other crate. Now again, yes, we are totally dehydrated and starving to death, but as long as our condition doesn't get too low, we're fine. We're picking up some accelerant here. We can use this to instantly start a fire. You'll have a 100% chance of starting a fire when using an accelerant like that. Cloth, great. I'd like to find another couple of pieces of wood, another couple of sticks before we head back to the cave and try to boil up some water. Not seeing any sticks. And we're not going to waste time breaking down these branches right now. We have that reclaimed wood that we got from breaking down the crates, so we should be fine. Alright, let's get back in here and restart our fire. Using matches, tinder, and a book to increase our chance of success of starting the fire. Okay, now here's a good example. So watch the chance of success indicator in the upper right-hand corner as I change from book to cedar firewood. You have a much better chance of starting the fire, but the fire will not burn as long when using the book to start the fire. So let's go ahead and start the fire and then immediately put another log on there. As I mentioned, the more fires you start, the better at it you get. So that will increase the speed at which you can start these fires and the chance, your base chance of starting the fire. And also, as I mentioned before, if you start the fire using accelerant, you start it instantly. There is no countdown like this. And you have a 100% chance of starting it. Okay. So now we need to boil up some water and eat something. For the water, we're going to click on the fire, go to the the water tab, melt up about 1 liter's worth of snow. Actually, you know what we need to do first is put more fuel on here so it doesn't burn out, because we started it using the book, which doesn't have a very long burn time. We'll put on that fire log and a couple of pieces of the reclaimed wood. Now we can go to the water. Let's make it a $1.50 worth of snow here, 1.5 liters of melting snow. And yes, we found the water purification tablets that we could use to purify it, but since we have the fire going already, why don't we just boil it and purify it that way. Now we can either use the radial menu to eat, or we can go into our backpack. I prefer the backpack, that's just me. Go to our food tab, eat that MRE. That's probably going to fill our tummies up about halfway. More than half. Great, 3/4 of the way. And drink as much water as we can drink. Alright, that should do it. We do have an infection risk going on from our injuries. So let's go back again into our inventory. Check our first aid tab. Use the antiseptic here and apply the antiseptic to our plane crash injury on our chest. Now we have healed our infection risk, and that probably will do it. That may be all we needed to do today. Yep, the game is going to advance us to day 3. So I played through this tutorial section a couple of times, encountered a story halting bug. It was not a game breaking bug, but it did make it so I could not progress through the story anymore, so I had to set it aside until they fixed that bug. I believe it is fixed now, and now our day 3 goal is to build a fire in the cave that will last the night, 9 hours worth. So we're going to have to find enough fuel here. Let's break down this crate to get that fire up to 9 hours. Now you don't have to wait 9 hours through the night. You just have to get the fire up to a point where it says it will burn for 9 hours, and at that point the game will advance you to day 4. Let's break this down. Yes, we are cold, but we're not in terrible shape. Oh, look at all these books. Great. That'll make starting fires much, 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 much easier, having all those books on us. More sticks. More sticks. Another piece of firewood. That's great. And one more crate to break. Alright, there was nothing in that crate, but we picked up the wood from it. Another piece of firewood. This should be plenty of fuel to make a fire that lasts 9 hours. Even more firewood. Well, now we definitely have enough fuel to stock that fire up for 9 hours. So let's just head back to the cave and get that going. We will use one of the many books we just found to get it started. Yeah, I like the long dark because it's just you versus the elements and the wildlife. And the animals are, you know, animals. They're not that smart. You can outwit them pretty easily. Even the vicious ones. Now we've got this fire going. Now we click on it again and just start adding fuel to it. We'll add the firewood first, since that's heavy and will give us the longest amount of burn time. I'm going to keep one on me and just use the rest of this wood to jack that up even more. We're at 6 hours duration. We're at 7.5. We're at 8 hours duration. I'm just going to add more sticks to top this off and get us up to 9 hours. That should do it. 9 hours, 1 minute. Now the game should recognize that we've accomplished our mission and advance us to day 5. Well, let's check our journal. We're missing something. Get your body temperature up. Warm yourself by the fire for a while. All right, to pass time by the fire, if it is going to let us, we can... Nope, okay. I was going to say we could do some crafting here, and that's a good way to kind of skip ahead in time. You will continue to warm yourself by the fire while you're crafting, but it'll happen much faster. Alright, we are hungry again. Our stomach is completely empty. We have a new set of goals for the day. Today our goal is to explore the ravine and find some food to survive. Scavenge what you can and eat until you're full. Alright, so let's do that. Crows, your ears are your best survival tool. Pay attention to your surroundings and you might glean information that's important for your survival. For example, a murder of crows circling up ahead might suggest an animal carcass or even a human corpse might be nearby. Hey, look, a murder of crows circling up ahead. Why don't we go check out what they're circling over? Yep, I see an animal carcass up there. And something else. This is Astrid's hard case. It's locked. And we don't know the combination. But this leads us to the first cinematic. I'm going to skip this for spoiler reasons, etc. Alright, so what that cinematic taught us was that Astrid was on the plane with us. Astrid was our friend, and she was on that plane as well, and we need to find her. That is going to be one of our primary goals now, going forward. Firewood. Oh, Will's coat. We will take that coat. Clothing. Clothing is armor against cold. Out in the wilderness, clothing is like armor against the elements. Wear layers to stay warm, and remember, wind is your enemy. Clothing offers different protection from cold and wind chill. Your clothes can get wet from blowing snow or if you fall into water, which makes them ineffective and increases your risk of hypothermia or even frostbite. Keep your clothes as dry as you can. Finally, clothing can protect you from physical injuries, as in from falling or tangling with wildlife. Balance all these factors against the weight and mobility cost of your combined clothing. For now, let's go into our inventory, go to our clothing tab, and put on that coat. We're going to wear it even though it is frozen solid right now, that it should start drying out, thawing out and drying out. as we spend time by the fire. We can even take it off and lay it out on the floor of the cave in there. But one of our goals today is to find some food to eat, and here is a ravaged deer carcass. Now the only tool or weapon we have on us right now is that jagged piece of metal that we pulled out of our hand, scrap metal shard. We will use that to harvest some meat off of this carcass. We're going to jack the meat all the way up and harvest all of it. And now carry it back to the cabin, or the cave. Raw meat. Everything you eat can kill you. When starving, you may feel desperate enough to take your chances, but in general, eating raw meat is a bad idea. Cook it over a fire to avoid getting food poisoning or parasites. Cooked meat also lasts longer and attracts fewer predators. Now, you may have seen when we first harvested the meat, there were these wavy lines up at the top of the screen. Those indicate that you are carrying something that will attract predators, such as raw meat. Cooked meat smells less than raw meat. The blood and the meat of the raw meat will attack predators. Now, we're not seeing those wavy lines right now because we're still in the tutorial area and there are no predators here. But for now, what we have to do is get this fire going again and cook up that meat. We still have books on us. You know, we're running a little low on newsprint. I think we're going to take this opportunity to go to the crafting menu and show you how this works really quickly. This gives you a green check mark next to something that you have the materials you can craft. Now, we have cloth. We could craft some bandages. We have different sources of fuel to make tinder plugs. I'm going to break the newsprint that we picked up down into tinder plugs because you can use one newsprint to start a fire, but if you break it down into tinder plugs, you'll get 2 tinder plugs from it. So that'll allow you to start twice as many fires from that same material. So that'll do. Our campfire, now we're using wooden matches, tinder plug, and a book to get it started. And once we get this started, first we need to add more fuel to it to make it burn longer because this book is not going to burn very long. Then we're going to put the meat on it and cook up that meat. Venison. Venison's good eating if you've never tried it. A nice venison stew can be very tasty with winter vegetables. Alright, 13 minutes of burn time on this fire. Let's put some additional fuel on there. That's got us up to 2.5 hours of burn time. Now we can go to our food and cook up some of this venison. Let's cook it all up since we don't want to be carrying the raw meat around. You see how the time is advancing a little bit quicker as we burn this stuff? As we cook this stuff, I mean. Alright, 4 pieces of fresh venison. You can eat this from the radial menu or go into your inventory to eat it. Let's go into the inventory, go to the food tab, eat some venison. Probably going to have to eat a couple of these. Or we're probably going to want to eat a couple of these. Yeah, alright. But again, this is the long dark. This is not Don't Starve or some of the other survival games you may have played. The goal here is that we're running a little low on water. Let me just boil up some water real quickly as long as this fire is still going. The goal here is not to keep your stomach full at all times, and you're not going to die the second your stomach gets empty like in some other games. The goal here is to maintain your condition, your overall condition, and your condition will only start to deteriorate very slowly once your stuff gets completely bottomed out. Let's check our journal and see what else we have to do to advance to the next day. See if you're strong enough to climb out of the ravine. Now that we've got some food in us, we can do that. Our temperature is up plenty high. The sun is out. The wind is not blowing. We should be able to take a look around the ravine. I think we've gotten everything we're going to get out of the ravine. So let's go and see if we can climb out now. Now, just as a note, you cannot actually climb when you get into the main game. Okay. My hand is still too injured to let us climb out of here. Rose hips are Mother Nature's painkiller. Sometimes Mother Nature is your pharmacist. Craft rose hips into a preparation that can be boiled in water to produce a tea with pain-relieving properties. Keep your eyes open for other natural remedies. So here are some rose hips. Now we've been seeing these around in the ravine. That advanced us to day 5. But we have not been able to actually harvest them yet because this is still the tutorial section. So I've just been ignoring them. All right, day 5. What are our goals today? Let's check our journal. Our hand feels stronger now. It's time to climb out of the ravine. Knowledge. What you know can save you. As you learn things about the world, either through your own actions or through interacting with people, you unlock knowledge about people, places, things, and actions. Deeper knowledge can be revealed when you gain the trust of other survivors you meet. This knowledge is tracked in your journal for future reference. All right. All right, so it's time to leave the ravine. Now that the game has decided we can actually harvest these rose hips, let's get those harvested. Rose hip tea, as the game mentions, good for pain as a painkiller, as a natural painkiller, but also just having tea on you can be very beneficial because drinking a cup of hot tea will let you leave your shelter or move away from your fire and still be warm, still be gaining temperature, even though you're no longer inside. You could be out in the wind and cold, and as long as you just had some tea, you're still going to be in good shape to not be losing temperature that rapidly. All right, I think we've gotten everything we can get out of the ravine, and our condition has improved enough that we can now sprint if we want to, so that's good. Let's just harvest these last few rose hips here and see if we can get up out of the ravine. So as I was saying, you cannot actually climb rocks in this game once you get out of this tutorial section. I'm not sure why the game, as a part of the tutorial, teaches you that you can climb when in fact you cannot climb. That seems a little backward to me. I'm not sure why they decided to do it that way. But yeah, getting all these rose hips, not just for the pain-killing properties, but because just being able to make tea is a good thing. There are other kinds of tea that we'll discover as we progress through the game. Okay, we can do a little jogging here. Getting all the rose hips. And continue climbing. Great. Even more rose hips up here. Now to actually make those into tea, first you have to go into the crafting menu and crush them down into a tea substance. You can't just drop them into tea the way they are. They need crafting before you can do that. All right, another cinematic. I'm going to skip this for spoiler and other reasons. Chapter 2, Echoes of Astrid. Again, Astrid was our friend who was on the plane with us, and we are trying to locate her. Let's just take a look around here and see what we can see. New location discovered, Mackenzie's crashed plane. That's us. That's the ravine that we just came up out of. This looks like a pretty serious crash. I'm not sure how we survived that, but survive it we did. Just grab some more sticks here before we continue on. Our goal today, let's check our journal. Our goal today is to just search the area beyond the crash, around the crash site and beyond. More sticks, more sticks, more sticks. And another crate to break down. That had a down vest and some wool socks in it. Now those are probably going to be frozen as well, but I think we should take a minute and put those on right away. Go to our backpack, go to our clothing. We can put the down vest on as an underlayer here and put the wool socks on as an overlayer for our feet. And hopefully those should be thawing out and drying out as we move along. More reclaimed wood, more, a soda, and some beef jerky to eat. We've got a lot of wood on us. I don't think we need to be spending too much more time gathering wood. That's the way we just came from. Let's continue this way. And look, there's a piece of clothing that was sprinting. Run for your life. Walking through the snow with a heavy pack can get tiring, but sometimes you just have to run. Escape wildlife, avoid weak ice, or get to shelter faster by sprinting. Keep in mind that sprinting uses up more calories than walking, and your sprint stamina is limited by how restrictive your clothing is. It takes you a little while to recover sprint stamina, so use it wisely. All right, we'll try to do that. Just to demonstrate, yes, we know how to sprint. There we go. Okay, we sprinted. More sticks. I'm not going to waste too much time gathering sticks. We've got a lot of wood on us already. Let's just circle around up here and make sure we're not missing any good loot. Alright, not seeing any good loot around here, so let's continue. As long as we're walking right over this stick. Alright, we're getting cold. We are at risk of hypothermia now. We do not want to... That's another piece of Astrid's clothing, so we're on the right trail. We do not want to... stones. Aim true and you won't go hungry. You can pick up small stones and use them to stun rabbits. Equip them and throw them to hit the rabbit, then grab it while it's stunned. If you can kill it, you can eat it. Well, we can pick up some stones, but we're not in the situation where we are reduced to hunting rabbits at this point. We found that beef jerky. We still have a piece of venison, cooked venison on us. I am going to pick up these sticks now because we're about to start a fire. We're getting pretty cold. And over here it looks like there is an old abandoned fireplace. Now this is probably where Astrid spent the night. There's more beef jerky, a tinder plug, and some firewood. And I think now would be a good time to go ahead and get a fire going because we are very cold. Yeah, I don't think we need to be trying to hunt rabbits right now. It's kind of hit or miss. Haha, hit or miss. The rabbits are not easy to hit with the stones, and you can end up wasting more calories and time and energy hunting these rabbits than you actually get from eating them. By the time you actually hit one with a stone, run over quick enough to pick it up while it's still unconscious, skin it, and cook it, you've burned as many calories as you would have burned just finding something else to eat. So I don't find rabbits to be that great a source of food. Do we have a reason to spend some time here? We do. Let's look at the crafting to kind of speed things along. We already looked at crafting tinder plugs. We have those rose hips. We have 144. We need 24 to make one batch of tea. So let's craft up all these rose hips here. That will help us pass the time while we warm up. And maybe even... Why don't we just go ahead and boil up some tea as a demonstration, even though we don't need it for the pain-killing properties. It will help us warm up quite a bit. All right, one more left. Now we can go to the fire, go to our food, and cook up some rosehip tea. And while it is hot, go into our inventory, go into the first aid section because it has the pain-killing properties. Click on it, and down here in the lower left-hand corner, it tells us that this beverage is hot. And it will restore, it'll give us 110 calories and our water, obviously. Quench our thirst a bit. So that helped our thirst, helped our calories, and we are warming up. If you look at the bottom of the screen, try to find a good place where you can actually, where it's visible. Not sure why they went with the white status displays on the pure white background. They make it very difficult to see. But there's a little plus meter over our temperature bar. That's indicating that the fire is warming us up, plus we are getting warmth from the tea. So I just picked up a cattail there. You can harvest these cattails for edible cattail stalks and cattail heads, which can serve as tinder to start a fire. Cattails are a great source of food. The stalks will never go bad. They will stay in your inventory forever. They're a great source of backup food. You want to be harvesting as many of these as often as it is feasible to do so. Okay, here's some more over here. I know it's not that exciting watching me harvest cattails, but deal with it. This is survival. We need these. It's life or death, and these are going to help keep us fed and warm. Alright, that looks like most, if not all of them. I thought I saw, yeah, okay, so something else going on up here. Here's another harvestable item up here. Excuse us, bunnies. Oh, more rose hips for one thing. But also, Old Man's Beard lichen. Old Man's Beard moss to prevent infection. Old Man's Beard lichen has long been appreciated for its antibacterial properties. First, prepare it to be used for treatment, then apply it to injuries to reduce infection risk. So, if we had not had that bottle of antibiotics on us, we could have used this Old Man's Beard lichen as an antibiotic. There is another piece of cloth. It looks like this is probably the way Astrid went. We'll try to follow her up that cliff in just a minute. Let's just make sure we got everything we're going to get down here first. More rose hips, great. Our fire's still burning. I'm not sure for how much longer, though. Let me just get over here. It's only got 5 minutes on it. Let's put one piece of reclaimed wood on there so that I can crouch down here next to it and be gaining warmth as I go into the crafting menu. You need 3 pieces of Old Man's Beard lichen to make 1 Old Man's Beard wound dressing. So we just found 3 pieces. Let's make some of that wound dressing. And now we have it on us. Okay, great. And I think that's going to do it for this little area we're in here. I don't see any more harvestables or forageables. So let's just get up out of this next bit of ravine. Nope, not seeing any more beard lichen. So let us do the thing that you cannot actually do in the game, which is climb up a sheer rock wall. Ooh. Crow feathers, you can use those in crafting later on. Pick those up. And you see, just again to demonstrate, yes, there are crows up overhead, and here is a ravaged deer carcass. Now, we are just going to ignore this deer carcass for now. We've got food on us. We have other sources of food, and that stuff is going to smell us up something awful. In fact, let's check our status here. We're fairly hungry, and we still have that piece of venison on us. We have 2 pieces of venison on us. Let's go ahead and eat these up. Again, we're not looking to max out we're not looking to fill our stomachs. Because crouching, get under stuff. Occasionally you'll encounter an obstacle in your path. Crouching might help you get under it. Crouching also makes you less obvious to wildlife from a distance. You move more slowly but also more silently, so you might get closer. Thank you for teaching us how to crouch under stuff, the Long Dark. But the Long Dark takes a slightly more realistic approach to the food and the water, in terms of, yeah, you're not going to die the second you run out of food or water. But think about the way you operate in real life. You know, you don't run around constantly with a full stomach. You eat when you're hungry, and then you don't eat until you get hungry again, and then you eat, and you may fill up your stomach when you eat, or you may not. You may just fill it to the point where you're not hungry anymore. And that's the way this game operates, in terms of, yeah, you don't have to keep your stomach full at all times. Ooh, a cave. Light. Each light source has pros and cons. You may need to improvise light sources to see in the dark. You can craft torches out of available materials. Flares provide a one-off light source. Lanterns last longer but use oil. Darkness hides dangers and also prevents you from crafting, repairing your gear, and other actions. Good to know. Looks like we've come across an explorer who came to a chilly end. Ooh, some mittens. That's good. A moldy granola bar. And a torch. Let's equip that torch and light it. Here we've found a bedroll. It's kind of beat up. It's in a shabby condition, but we'll take it. Resting heals you and saves your progress. Resting restores lost condition and helps you recover from afflictions. You can rest in beds you find as you explore the world. A bedroll allows you to rest wherever and whenever you like. Remember that resting uses up calories, and the hours that pass make you hungry and thirsty. Now, I added the wherever you like to that little read there, and that's not actually true. It's just probably why it didn't actually say wherever. You need to be in an indoor space like this, or a man-made shelter, a self-made shelter, to deploy your bedroll. Another stick, another torch. We'll keep that in our inventory, just in case this one runs out. Looks like someone spent the night here. There's a burned-out campfire, some peaches. We have no way of opening right now. Well, we do, but it wouldn't be pretty, so let's not do it. And some more antibiotic. Let's read this note. Lost in the storm. I left with the others, but the storm turned bad and I couldn't keep up. Some turned back to see if they could wait it out at the old church. I kept going, but I think I took a wrong turn. I'll backtrack in the morning and see if I can find their trail. Signed, Alice. All right. So she was part of a little expedition that mentions some kind of lantern fuel. A sewing kit, that'll come in handy. Cloth to repair our clothing. Speaking of clothing, we found those mittens. Let's put those on. Great. Did we put on the... Yeah, alright. So this stuff is thawing out slowly but surely. The frozen jacket, frozen down vest, and the frozen socks. Let's keep going. That expedition, that note that we just read mentioned an expedition that had found a location called an old church. That seems like something we might be interested in finding. Some coal. Now, coal is very useful for burning in fires, but you need an established fire to put coal on. You cannot start a fire with coal. You need to get a fire started using wood and then add the coal to it. I thought there was more coal back in here. I only found that one piece of coal just now. I thought there were more. I'm not seeing any more coal. Okay. Alright, so let's just get up out of this cave. Cloth. Light. Mountain Town region. And there is a wolf down there eating a ravaged deer carcass. Let's crouch. Let's extinguish our torch and put it away. And now, that wolf is going to be more interested in the food that is right in front of him. Wolves, avoid if you can. Wolves are not dogs, and out here they are very dangerous. They normally avoid humans, but do you want to take a chance? Like most things in nature, wolves are afraid of fire. Campfires, torches, or flares can keep them at bay. Thrown torches or flares might scare them away, but there are no guarantees. In the end, the best way to avoid tangling with wolves is to give them a wide berth. Remember, they are attracted to blood and raw meat. Now, we are not bleeding, and we do not have any raw meat on us. So as I was saying, that wolf is probably going to be more interested in the food that's right in front of him than in the food he might have to chase down and only have a chance of actually catching and eating. So if we creep stealthily around the outskirts of this little clearing here, we should be able to get around him without having to fight him. Yeah, he's growling at his dinner. He's not growling at me. So yeah, with a little bit of patience and stealth, you should be able to avoid these wolves about 80% of the time. Now, there are always going to be the situations where you come up over a rise or around a corner and you're face to face with a wolf. And at that point, you're not going to be able to avoid them. It's going to be a life and death struggle with that wolf. It's getting a little bit late here. Let us do a little bit of jogging, because I'm seeing signs of civilization. There is a street sign. Looks like that direction is blocked off due to an avalanche, so we're going this way. We can loot these cars. Let's check the trunk. Nothing. Back door. Vehicles, take shelter. Cars can serve as shelters, protecting you from deadly wind and wildlife. You might even find supplies left inside the glove compartment or trunks. So, being in a vehicle like this will protect you from the wind, but it will not protect you from the temperature. You're not going to get any warmer in here than you would be outside. You just won't be losing temperature to the wind. Summit, that's great. A little bit of soda. In fact, we could probably use that right about now. Let's go ahead and drink it. Yep. Alright, well that brought us up to about half full anyway. Replenished half our thirst, I should say. It's a sign for the town of Milton, dead ahead. Oh, and there's a wolf out there. Now, you may have just heard a little whisper in the background. Your character does have a voice and will talk to you sometimes. I find it distracting and wrecks my immersion, so I have it turned all the way down. But even when it's turned all the way down to 0, you can still hear it sometimes in the background. So just try to ignore that if you hear it. Nothing in the front of the vehicle. Nothing in the back of the vehicle. Not sure where that wolf went. I don't see him anymore. This trunk is locked. There's something on the dashboard up front. There's a candy bar, or granola bar. Matches, great. I didn't see where the wolf went when we were in the car. I'm guessing he turned around and went back the way he came. I'm going to continue creeping, not taking any chances. Don't want to find him right around the corner up here at any point. But let's say you reach this point and that wolf does not turn around and came back the way he came from. You can go down the other way. You can go off-road, follow that little path there down to the river, and there are a lot of cattails down there. Now, the sun is going down. We are cold. I don't think it's not going to make sense for us to go down there just for the purpose of harvesting all those cattails. As valuable as they are, I think our priority at this point should be finding some kind of shelter in which to pass the night. But we're not going to leave all these vehicles unchecked. Hey, a hat. And we can wear 2 hats, so even though we already have one, we can put this one on underneath. And yes, it is frozen, but it will be thawing out and drying out. New leather shoes. Our boots are better, but we can harvest these for leather that we can later use to repair our boots. You know what I'm going to do is just demonstrate that you can open the hoods as well. You're not going to find anything useful in the engine compartment, but it's a good way to indicate that you have checked that vehicle already, and there's no point in coming back and checking it again. This just kind of marks them as checked. That one's crushed. See, now I know that I have not checked this vehicle because I never opened the hood. Nothing on the floor. Let's check the back seat. Nothing. Open the hood. Nothing. Nothing. Alright, still don't know where that wolf got to. I would almost rather be seeing the wolf, so I knew where he was. Than having him jump up on me like this. Alright, we're going to use our puncture weapon, and we're going to fight back, not by clicking as fast as we can, but by clicking at the right pace, which is fairly fast. Alright. Bandages. Craft them to stop the bleeding. Blood loss will kill you unless you stop it. A simple cloth bandage might save your life. Use the crafting menu to make a bandage from cloth, which you can find in the world, or harvest it from existing clothing items. I think we already have a bandage on us. Go to the first aid thing. We do have one bandage on us. We're going to apply it to our left foot. And we are going to apply some of the antiseptic to our left foot wolf bite. And then we also, it looks like, sprained an ankle there. Yeah, we have a sprained ankle that we're going to need painkillers or rosehip tea to heal. We're going to be moving slowly until that happens. See the blood spatter here? This wolf is mortally wounded. He's going to die eventually. If we want to, if we need the meat off of him or his fur, we can follow him around until he collapses and dies. He may attack us again if he gets right up on top of us, but probably not, since he is so badly wounded. There's Old Man Treebeard lichen up there, and since we just, well, I think we've got enough on us that I think we would need No, we can get up here. I don't want to press our luck with that wolf. If we get right up on him, he may try to attack us again, even though he's badly wounded. But I want this lichen. We don't need his meat, and wolf meat is not the healthiest kind of meat to eat. You can get parasites by eating wolf meat, and we don't need his coat, his fur at this point either, because we have nothing to do with it right now. I cannot sprint because I have injured my ankle. I have a sprained ankle. Wouldn't it be great to find some painkillers in this glove box? Nope. Because we have the rose hips on us, but we drank the one batch of rose hip tea that we actually made. Speaking of tea, here are another harvestable, forageable edible that you can use to make tea. These can be used to soothe your stomach if, for example, you end up with parasites from eating wolf meat. You can boil up these reishi mushrooms. We're not in great shape. We may want to start a fire right now. I don't want to spend the night out here. I think there's going to be some shelter not too far away. I think we should continue to press on. Just get this firewood here and continue on and try to find a shelter in which to spend the night. Well, it kind of stinks that I can't jog anymore. This is going to be a long, slow trek. But I don't think we have far to go. And I see more beard lichen there. Oop, wolf. Alright, that wolf should be more interested in the meal in front of him than in us. So I think we'll just not crouch, continue walking. A lot of good harvestables here on this little pond. There's some tree beard lichen. There's going to be cattails here. There may be more rose hips. There may be some reishi mushrooms on the tree stumps there. But we are so cold and we are wounded. I don't think it makes sense for us to do any harvesting here. Yep, there's some more rose hips. There's more tree beard lichen. Tree beard. Old man's beard lichen. Treebeard's a different game. So we know that that's there. Why don't we see about getting a good night's sleep? We can always come back here tomorrow and collect all these good forageables. Look, even more. Geez, I'm walking right past it. I can't pass it up. All right. It is snowing. We are getting wet, which is making us even colder. There's a deer. We have nothing with which to kill him. We don't really need to right now anyway. But look off there in the distance. It looks like there's some kind of structure up there that may serve as shelter for the night. Give us an opportunity to boil up some food. We may, as long as we have a place to sleep here, we may not need to worry about healing our sprained ankle. That may heal itself over the course of the night. Alright, there's going to be shelter in here, guys, so I'm going to call it an episode. We have made it through the initial tutorial portion of the Long Dark story. it starts to open up a bit here, and we'll have a bit more flexibility in the kind of stuff that we're doing from this point forward. So thanks for watching, everybody. Leave a like and subscribe if you're enjoying the long dark. We'll be doing more of it for sure. Until next time, do not go into the long dark.